In partnership with the Standard Bank, the WineX Annual Wine Festival will be taking place over 3 days from the 30th of October to the 1st of November. The event involves wine tastings and interactions with the country's great winemakers. While punters get to enjoy an ensemble of different wine offers, this platform looks to promote the winemaking industry and help it to grow. Well, to tell us more about how the sector's doing and what wine enthusiasts can expect from the Wine Festival, I'm joined by Michael Fridjhon. He's the founder of WineX. Thank you very much, Michael, for joining us. So I'm just remembering how hard a time the wine industry went through during the COVID period, with not being able to export their products, revenues running dry and so on, and some wine farmers really having to contemplate their survivability. How has the sector been doing since that time?
So obviously it's bounced back. It was inevitable that this would happen simply once trade improved. One of the difficulties that the industry was facing more or less at the time of COVID was that the Western Cape had just come out of that dreadful drought. So they were already under a lot of pressure. The rains came and then came COVID. But finally their tanks filled up. The local consumers, delighted to be able to buy wine again, certainly helped. And exports took off, but I'm afraid they haven't reached their pre-COVID levels. There's been some success in particular markets, but overall we are still probably 50 to 100 million litres below the pre-COVID peaks.
Yeah. Now, the wine industry has a lot of global competition, but where are you seeing the opportunities for growth for the sector? And I understand that China is a good prospect.
China is certainly a prospect. The difficulty we're facing just at the moment with China is that there was a trade dispute between China and Australia, which between 2020 and now, mid-2024, saw massive tariffs imposed on Australian wines and a huge decline in Australian sales. The Australians are now back in China, and obviously the market is mopping up what the Australians are delivering. But South Africa certainly has an opportunity to trade in China. The Chinese like our Cup Classiques, and Fongi Walker, who's a Master of Wine resident in China, spoke with great enthusiasm at the Trophy Wine Show this year about the importance of the Cup Classique category and why it's popular amongst Chinese consumers. For the rest, I think that the industry will do well in China once the initial tidal wave of Australian wine has settled in. We offer fabulous quality. We do have good trade connections. And from what I understand through organizations like Standard Bank with a presence in the Chinese market, engagement will increase and we'll see a lot of excitement with South African wine in China. The rest of the African continent is also very important to the Cape wine industry. There's been a huge increase in interest and export volumes are growing, and it's on our doorstep. So the more astute producers are focusing on the opportunities presented by East Africa as an example, but also select markets in West Africa.
Yeah, sounds very exciting. So just remind us of the importance of the sector, its contribution to GDP and even jobs, and are the majority of those jobs seasonal?
Well, firstly, there are over 250,000. We talk of about 270,000 jobs directly and indirectly involved in the wine industry. Most of it is not seasonal, strangely enough, because once the harvest is over, there's activity from winemaking to packaging to the logistics of getting wine to the trade. So it's a very important player. It's a player in terms of GDP. It's an important player in terms of excise. The entire liquor industry contributes nearly 100 billion rand in various taxes. So it's certainly a contributor to the industry there. And in the Western Cape, it's a very important player because in addition to the role that the wine industry plays as an agricultural product, it's a hospitality product. And the Cape winelands are amongst the 2 or 3 most important reasons that we see foreign visitors, and the Western Cape, of course, is the #1 destination as far as overseas visitors with money in their pockets is concerned. So tourism and the wine industry operate hand in hand in order to contribute to the economy.
So, Michael, you've partnered with Standard Bank to put on the annual wine festival. How does this partnership work, and ultimately, what's the goal of the festival?
Well, WineX in its various guises has been with us now for almost 50 years. So it tells us that the wine industry needs to talk to the biggest single consumer market for South African wine anywhere in the world, and that, of course, is Gauteng. So firstly, simply by connecting the country's producers with the country's consumers, we have something valuable to share and to bring. People want to drink wine. Wine is the most agnostic of all alcoholic beverages, in as much as it, male, female, spread across the ages. We argue that it's certainly the healthiest. So all of those factors together make it a very important opportunity for the Cape wine industry to showcase what it's producing to the most important market in the world for Cape wine.
Yeah, and then lastly, for those wine enthusiasts that are watching the program, what treats can they expect at the festival?
I'd love to be able to go through the full list. There are over 150 different producers. Most of them bring between 5 and 7 different wines. So those treats alone are what WineX is about. Of course, there are a small number of other exhibitor stands that are food and wine related. So it is bigger and better than before. It's a wonderfully vibey room. We obviously encourage responsible consumption, but it's a great way for consumers of wine, for people who simply love wine, to widen their experience and look for different beverages rather than the same old label that they've always bought when they go shopping.
Indeed. Well, all the very best with that, Michael Fridjhon. He's the founder of WineX.